Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's December 23rd, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we sometimes talk about the news of the day. And Matt, I'm telling you, it's been so much fun looking at the banter on our message boards and on CaneSport about, some people wish that we didn't talk about anything other than the news of the day. Some people love that when we freelance a little bit and to tell some different stories and stuff. So we can't make everybody happy. But I thought that today I have a way to bridge that gap and create a happy medium. And so on yesterday's show, we were talking about this whole concept of recruiting and the Hurricane Honeys that used to be involved in the recruiting process. So I go on the message board this morning, and Cane's Head 2 starts a thread about the subject, and he got a kick about your comments yesterday, how there's no honeys anymore, or whatever you were saying. I don't even remember. It wasn't very memorable, to be quite honest. But Cane's Head 2 did get a kick out of it, and so he starts this thread on the message boards talking about it, and he says to everybody, what do you think of these guys? And he suggests that these are the Hurricane Honeys of yesteryear. And I had to throw that into today's show because Cane's Head 2 definitely gets an A++ for this one, and on originality for sure. So that's his answer to the Hurricane Honeys that help with recruiting. So Cane's Head 2, I hope you enjoy this shout out. That was really, really good. And that's going to be tough to top, at least this week, on the message boards at CaneSport.com. But Matt, getting back to what we're supposed to be here for, which is to talk about the content today on CaneSport.com. Let's start with this whole COVID situation and bowl games. And I thought Texas A&M yesterday really kind of laid the gauntlet down when they announced that they were not going to go to the Gator Bowl to play in their bowl game. And, I'm expecting more schools to follow suit after that. I'm expecting them to be a trendsetter. And so far, Miami is not saying a word about Miami's status for the Sun Bowl against Washington State. They're making nobody available to speak. We can't talk to Coach Simpson. We can't talk to any of the other coaches. We can't talk to any of the players. This is information blackout for whatever reason at Miami as they supposedly get ready to get on a plane, supposedly the day after Christmas. We can't even find out what day they're traveling to. I can't get a straight answer on that, what day they're traveling. So this whole bowl thing is totally in flux. And Matt, we talked about it a little yesterday. And it's almost like, what's the point now? Should they even bother going to El Paso?
Well, they have changed the rules a little. So normally you travel 5 days before the bowl game, you practice there and all that stuff. And now they changed it. You can go up 2 days before the bowl game if you have to. But there are a lot of concerns. Like Miami, I know on the message board people hate to hear, someone might get injured. Like you don't not play a game of football because you might get injured. The reason it's a concern, and it has happened in the past, that's not the only reason for concern. The reason for concern in this particular case, Miami has not been able to appropriately prepare its team to play in a physical bowl game. Like they've been doing walkthroughs. They've been doing like socially distanced
walkthroughs. Yeah.
Yeah. Dummy tackling socially distanced. Like this is not how you prepare your body to physically play a bowl game. And then your body is so stressed when it's not prepared to play, to be in that situation, and you're creating some potential injury woes. And I know no one wants to hear it on the message board. A lot of people are upset. Why would you talk about injuries? Every time you step on the football field, you can get hurt. But during a regular football season, you have a month to prepare, and that whole month is spent not just learning the plays, but getting your body ready to play in an actual football game. Like picture yourself, right? Like Gary just sits on the couch all day. What if you ask Gary to go out and play a serious physical tennis match or basketball game? 5-on-5 full court basketball. He would pull something. He would get hurt. Gary would definitely wind up in the hospital, 100%.
I used to have a friend when we were in junior high and high school that I used to play tennis against, and it was the funniest damn thing. If he was ever losing, he would always find a way to get injured or something.
I've met people like that.
It was the funniest thing.
So that's one thing. The other major problem here is, you can go up to the bowl game 2 days in advance. And obviously you're going to test everybody before you go up there, which is great. And then everyone's on the plane together. And then you probably have to test again before you come back to make sure no one else is getting on that plane coming back with you 3 days later that has the virus, because you don't want these kids bringing it home to their families. I understand the kids aren't going to have a real problem, but their families who are older, the grandparents might have a problem. You don't know that as fans. Like, this has killed some people, believe it or not. I know some of you may not believe that. It's actually killed some people, this virus, okay? And, like, that's the last thing you want to do. So now you go to the bowl game. Let's say before you come back 3 days later, or maybe 6 days later if you go 5 days in advance, maybe some of the kids test positive. Now what do? Do they get their own private jet to fly home? No. They're stuck in El Paso, Texas for a 7 to 10 day quarantine, depending on what the rules are at that point. Right now, it looks like it's more of a 7 day. It used to be a 10 day, and it really should be a 5 day. But whatever the rule is, they're stuck by themselves in El Paso, no family. I don't know if UN personnel stays behind. I don't know if they rent them a hotel. I don't know what the procedure is for getting them food. I don't know. But that's the risk you run. And this is why you see some teams already saying, forget it. We're not dealing with it. We've had a few cases. Because listen, when these teams are already opting out of bowl games, those cases could be cleared up by the time they have to travel for the bowl game under the 2-day regulation to show up for a bowl game. They don't want to risk it. For A, they haven't been able to practice and prepare their kids' bodies correctly. B, they don't want kids getting stuck in El Paso over New Year's and trying to figure out what the hell to do. You could have a bunch of kids, not just 1 or 2 up there. And why risk it for a bowl game that's not that important? And for fans that are, fans are debating on the message where they're like, well, they need to learn how to win a bowl game like this in order to win a real bowl game, No, you don't need to learn to win a bowl game like this. If you have a good enough team, you're going to win a major bowl game like that. That's, I understand it's nice to have your team say, hey, we won a bowl game, and you go in the offseason with a lot of momentum. I don't buy into that crap. I don't need momentum from some lousy bowl game. You build up momentum by having a great season. You've seen great teams lose national championship games or lose bowl games and go on to another great season the next year. That didn't slow them down any. And you've seen, bad teams lose a bowl game and be great the next year. So or average teams, I should say. Bad teams don't get into bowl games. So it's a bunch of Bubba Mitzvah. And for those of you that don't know what Bubba Mitzvah is, convert to Judaism. They'll teach you, okay? I'm not buying the whole shtick. Again, convert to Judaism. And I'm kidding. You don't have to convert to Judaism. You can just look it up. People don't think I'm serious. Anyway, my thing is, it doesn't bother me.
People don't take anything you're saying seriously.
I hope not. My wife tells I joke with people with a straight face, and some of it's a little rude. And my wife says to them, "He's just joking." She has to explain to people and apologize for me. He doesn't mean it. He's just joking. But anyway, it doesn't bother me if they play in the bowl game or if they don't play in the bowl game. I am totally ambivalent about this bowl game. I don't care if they want to play in it. I hope nobody gets COVID and gets stuck out there. If they play in it, I hope that they win because it's good for Miami Hurricanes if they win a bowl game. And if they don't play in it, it doesn't bother me either because I think you avoid some potential problems with kids who aren't adequately prepared because of the COVID issues going on with the team and them beginning COVID protocols at practices. I can't say that. COVID protocols at practice. I'm 50-50, man. So just like you were with Jaleel Skinner, I'm 50-50.
All right. So for those that need their fix in case there's not a bowl game, we decided today that we would whip out an analysis of a way too early offensive depth chart for 2022. So we roll that out onto the site today for you guys to kick around and have some fun with the way too early depth chart for the offense for 2022. We'll have the defense tomorrow. So a little fun there with the depth chart. Beyond that, Matt, it is we also have a really good inside the line show that I think everybody will like. I talked with Rivals National Recruiting Director Adam Gorney about Mario Cristobal, the recruiter. And it was a really nice chat. I think you guys will enjoy that interview. It's on our website today as well. Beyond that, today is all about recruiting. And, what a surprise. It's like a daily recurring theme here at CaneSport.com and on Good Morning CaneSport. And it's really two guys. It's Batman and Robin. Should we say the pretend Batman and Robin? Because Matt, you and I are really Batman and Robin. That's been pretty well declared on this show over the weeks. So we're going to say the pretend Batman and Robin, Mario Cristobal, Alex Mirabal. They are a two-man wrecking crew right now in recruiting. They are going after guys like there's no tomorrow. It starts with 4-star 2023 offensive lineman Peyton Kirkland from Orlando, Dr. Phillips. Matt, he is getting daily phone calls from both Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal. Really, the 2023 recruiting is just starting, and they are already relentlessly after this guy. And there's more. I mean, I might as well now talk about 4-star defensive end Gavin Hill, who wants to stay in Florida. He's from Gainesville Buckholz. He's also getting very regular phone calls. So recruiting, to sum it all up, Matt, is really kicking in for 2023.
Yeah, listen, they're relentless. And it's funny, I know some people hate these stupid stories. So if you can, the nice thing for those of you that complain about these stupid stories that I tell, there's like a little bar at the bottom you may not be aware of, and just like put your finger on it if it's a touchscreen, or just take your cursor and just go, and this will take about maybe a minute and a half, and just fast forward a minute and a half, and you don't have to hear this stupid story I'm about to tell.
And just so you know, I work with Matt. We work about 18 hours a day, every single day. I don't get the benefit of the bar. Okay, like I got to listen to these stories.
Oh, you poor guy.
I got to listen to these
Here's
stories.
my miniature violin.
I mean, first of all, he wakes up at like 5 a.m.
That's
so
true.
When I wake up at like 7, I've already got like about at least a half a dozen stories in my texts on the phone.
I just email you. I email you relentlessly. I don't text you because I don't want to wake you up. I email you relentlessly.
And then it's all day long, nonstop, story after story after story after story. I'm
like Mario Cristobal, and you're like a 4-star recruit. I just hammer you, hammer until you finally.
Except I don't get the $200,000 scholarship that comes with it, and I don't get to use the blue bar either. So if you don't like Matt's stories, you get to use the blue bar and feel free.
Listen, there's an easy solution. Take yourself off the screen, and I'll tell the story. You can go get something to eat.
All right.
I don't think you know how to do that. You can take yourself off. Oh my God, this is amazing! Except now everyone sees my workout equipment and my whole setup here. And by the way, I am sleeping in my office because my wife's COVID protocol is not up yet. For those of you that remember, LaCroix, drink it. It's the drink of champions. All right, so nobody interrupt me. This is the story I was going to tell. Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal are offering all these 4-star kids, even some 5-star kids, like it's off the hook for like how many days they've been here. They've been like already getting after it like crazy. And I try to at least reach out to at least once to every single kid who gets an offer, and some of them don't respond. I usually, my rule is I'll try a kid twice, text him a couple of times, call him once, and if he doesn't respond to that, put him on the back burner for the next time, And the kids that respond, that want to talk, we do stories with. So there's one kid who I'm not doing a story with, and I'm going to tell you why now, who did get an offer from Miami. So like everyone else, I reached out to him and I called him, and he answered first ring, I think it was, and it started like a normal interview. I said, I identified myself. I said, I heard you got a Miami offer. I said, would you mind talking about it for a couple of minutes? Do you have a few minutes free right now? Sure, the kid says. I didn't want to tell you what state he's from because it's a bad story for this kid. And he starts telling a story, and he sort of says, yeah, I got a Miami offer, blah, 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 and da-da-da-da. I said, well, which coach, was it Coach Cristobal or Coach Mirabal gave you the offer? And I literally gave him the answer to the question because I asked him which coach. And he says, the coach that was from Oregon, that offensive line coach, he says the F word. He says F. I can't remember his name after I literally just told him the guy's name. And I'm like, Coach Mirabal? And the guy says to me, he says, is that the really short guy? And I'm like, yeah, he's like 5'5". And Mirabal, he had told me he'd gotten a FaceTime call from Mirabal. So apparently somehow, Coach Mirabal obviously is short. Everyone knows that. but apparently he even looks short on FaceTime. So that's my story, Gary. You can come back on the screen. Everyone who's fast forwarded, now you can come back to the actual show. And there you go.
ROFL, man. I've been rolling on the floor laughing.
That was
such a cool story. I like that story.
That was a good story?
Yeah. I thought you were going to, as long as he didn't tell you to wipe your butt like Jaleel Skinner's dad.
That's an example of a story we're not running on CaneSport. Just to be clear. That story did not make the cut for CaneSport. We might be desperate for stories. We could have no stories at all on the website. We will still have no stories on the website if that's our only choice. Is that interview?
All right, so that's what's on the website right now for this morning. You know, there could be more news as the day goes on, but that gives you guys a little bit of something to sink your teeth into here as you have your coffee and walk your dog. You know, I mean, there's people that have told me like they walk their dog and hold their phone up and watch Good Morning CaneSport while they walk their dog. But let me ask you this before we go. Speaking of walking dogs, because we used to joke, right? Well, no, you know what? I was gonna talk about Coach Justice calling.
Yeah, I knew that was going to come up.
But you know, the recruits used to always tell us that he would call them while he was walking his dog.
It's true.
Little bit of a difference.
I mean, that was multiple recruits said he would only call FaceTime while he was walking his dog, and that was it. So yeah.
And he was a good guy, man. I don't want to joke around. I was going to joke around, but Coach Justice he was a good guy. But I will say this: there is a noticeable difference in how recruiting is going on now, and it's just starting. They don't even have the staff in place yet. So good days ahead on the recruiting trail for the Miami Hurricanes. All right, that's going to do it for today, unless Matt interrupts me with another story. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you so much for joining us once again on Good Morning CaneSport. And before we go, for Cane's Head 2, I'm going to give them another quick little shout out. The Hurricane Honeys of yesteryear. Thanks to Cane's Head 2, who has kept this picture in his wallet for the last 35 years or so since he attended the U, when the Hurricane Honeys used to dominate recruiting. And now, according to Matt, there are no Hurricane Honeys anymore.
That's not what I said. I said they're not called Hurricane Honeys anymore. No more the strip club. No more Hurricane Honeys. I agree. There's still girls that show the guys around. Like, why not? But they're not called Hurricane Honeys.
All right. So with that, have a great day, everybody.